Festerson.
Here.
Harding. Jerem.
Here.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Mr. President.
Here, would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm giving the invocation today, and one of the things I would like to say is that I've spent a lot of time in our briefing room today because it was pretty cold in my office, and people know how much I hate cold weather. And so I wish this snow would go away fairly soon. But I know what we face is not nearly as difficult as what they face on the East Coast. And so I'd like a few minutes of silence because they are really going through it on the East Coast, up in Boston, New York, and places like that. And let's pray for them and pray that their families, friends, and our first responders and others will be okay. Just a moment of silence, please. Amen and thank you.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
We do have a proclamation that we want to read, but we're hoping that the weather has prevented our awardee from being here at 2 o'clock, so we're going to hold off for a little bit and hope that she gets here. But again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this City Council meeting. The Council thanks you for joining us today, and as to those who are in attendance, we would ask you to mute or turn off any of your electronic devices. Madam Clerk.
Item 6, an application to consider a Class CK liquor license with growler endorsement for 1905 Vault LLC, doing business as Benson Brewery, located at 6059 Maple Street.
Public hearing on agenda item number 6 is today. Proponents, please.
Joe Carmichael.
Joe, give name and address, please.
Joe Carmichael, 9811 Calhoun Road.
And you're here to answer any questions we might have. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Motion approved. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item 6. No lights. Roll call.
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Palermo.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 6 is approved, 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 7, an application to consider a Class I liquor license for Ross Capital, Inc., doing business as Corky Canvas, Corky Boards, located at 3157 Farnham Street.
Public hearing on agenda item number 7 is today. Proponents, please.
Hello. Melissa Wacker, 3157 Farnham, Suite 7108 and 7109.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item 7. No lights. Roll call.
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Palermo. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 7 is approved, 7-0. Item 8, an application to consider a special designated liquor license for Maloney's LLC, doing business as Maloney's Irish Pub, located at 1830 North 72nd Street, for an outdoor volleyball court on May 16th from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. and May 17th from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. with music ending at 1 a.m. both nights.
Public hearing on agenda item number 8 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, excuse me, Chris Falkenheiner, 1830 North 72nd is our business location, and 8526 Evans is my address.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. Just a quick question
for you. So it's not unusual. We allow SDLs and music to stop at midnight. 1 a.m. is a little later than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you've done before at this location?
No, not to my knowledge. We've had it cut off before then. We have extended, it's our 10-year anniversary, so we kind of extended our celebration, St. Patrick's Day celebration this year.
Okay.
We are willing to shut off at midnight if not allowed to continue to run.
Well, I've never had a complaint here, and it is your 10-year anniversary and St. Patrick's Day on top of that.
Yes.
So I think I'll give you a chance for 1 o'clock. Motion approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item 8. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 8 is approved, 7-0.
Thank you, guys.
Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, unless otherwise provided by the City Council Rules of Order.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 9 and 10 were held on February 27th, 2018. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Harding.
Thank you. Just had a quick question for, I think, Public Works. I just want to confirm on the record that the contract goes through the end of this year and that it can be annually renewed by or terminated by either party on an annual basis with 30 days notice prior to the expiration of the then current contract or the then current term.
Bob Stubbe, Public Works, I'm assuming you're talking about agenda item number 9?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a motion and a second?
There was a motion, no
Okay,
second.
there was no second. Okay, now there's a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Palermo.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
9 and 10 are approved, 7-0.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 11 through 17 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve items 11 through 17. There, Mr. Harding? You got another light. Mr. Harding?
On number 12,
Okay.
and I get Mr. Director Stubbe, maybe you can answer this as well. How many times a year do we send out the Wasteland newsletter?
Bob Stubbe, Public Works, I think twice, if I'm not mistaken. So it is no question about a large expenditure for the waistline. We are currently working with an outside vendor to help us kind of revamp our website, maybe look at other ways that we can essentially get this distributed, maybe via email also.
Okay. It also might be something, I know we were talking about, I think we all had briefings today on the next garbage contract, that maybe that's something we could incorporate into one of the responsibilities of who that vendor might be, is how to distribute that information to the citizens. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Festus.
Thanks, Mr. President. Well, as long as Councilman Harding was answering your question, maybe I'll ask a question too. I meant to ask this at pre-council, but I forgot. I think actually both Councilman Harding and I are previous members of the Exarban Future Trust Board, and I see that there's an appointment on here of Mr. Curtis. I asked the question only because I wasn't sure the entity still existed, given the status now of Exarban Village. But Mr. Curtis, is it still an active board and still meeting on a periodic basis?
Steve Curtis, City Finance. It is an active board because they still have corpus or trust money, so they're still working their way through their obligations in the trust.
Okay. So some proceeds from the land sales, but they don't currently own any more land there, correct?
It's my understanding they either don't own much or they are down to about nothing, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Was there a motion to approve?
Yes.
Moved and seconded?
There was a motion and
Oh.
a second. We got a motion.
Okay. Roll call?
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Palermo.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Items 11 through 17 are approved, 7-0. Item 18, an ordinance declaring the necessity of acquiring private property for the purpose of constructing the 126th and Sky Park Storm Replacement Project, OPW 53052, providing that the city negotiate with the property owner for a permanent easement and right of entry, and that property which cannot be obtained by negotiation be condemned.
Public hearing on agenda item number 18 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Your light's not on. Okay. Next item.
Oh, okay. Item 19, an ordinance to amend Section 23-177 of the Omaha Municipal Code by changing the salary for the employment classification known as parking manager from 23.1 MC to 29.2 MC. Personnel Board recommends approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 19 is today. Proponents, please.
Jim Begley, City Human Resources, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item. I'm sorry, you got a light. Mr. Palermo, I'm sorry.
Thank you, President. I think I mostly, with this one, I don't have a problem with the job itself or the classification change, especially hearing in pre-council that it was only going to be approved to go to step C, if that's right, Mr. Stubbe? Is that?
Bob Stubbe, Public Works. So what's happening today is essentially establishing a new pay range for this particular position. With regard to establishing what that is, we've indicated that our recommendation, which has to go in front of the Personnel Board, if I'm not mistaken, would be to go to a step C of the 7 steps that are included in this particular pay range.
Thank you very much, and that would take it from the 28% that we originally had seen to roughly 11. I think my biggest concern with the reclassifications that we've seen lately come from the numbers, and that would be over the course of the last 16. We've had 7 in AEC, 7 in Simtech, 2 for Local 251, and 0 for functional. And that's my main concern here, is that the process of how they're being delivered to you, Mr. Begley, whether it's management, director, employee, of making sure that these groups are able to come to you equally and these classifications are being given out equally. And it's just a statement I wanted to make more than a question. So thank you.
Your point is well taken, sir.
Thank you. If there are no more lights, next item.
Item 20, an ordinance to amend Section 23-177 of the Omaha Municipal Code concerning employment classifications by adding the employment classification for Public Works Specialist 2 with a salary range of 12.2 MC. Personnel Board recommends approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 20 is today. Proponents, please.
Jim Begley, City Human Resources, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents?
Heather Tippy Pierce, City Public Works, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Item 21, an ordinance to extend the agreement with Silverstone Group, Inc. for 2 years for services related to workers' compensation and related fields. The cost for the first year will be a monthly fee of $14,250 and the second year monthly fee of $14,650.
Public hearing on agenda item number 21 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Tim Young, City Human Resources Director, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Non-action items, items 22 through 35, do not require public hearing or city council consideration at this meeting, but will be placed on future agenda for public hearing and or vote. The reason for non-action is noted after the item on the agenda, as well as the date the item is expected to appear on an agenda for consideration.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Let me do the proclamation.
I withdraw my motion. I thought you were going to do it next time.
I don't know if she's coming next time. She's stuck? Okay. We'll go ahead and do it now. I wanted to put a proclamation together for Roseanne Shannon. Roseanne Shannon has been the news director at KETV for a number of years. She's my former boss, and I just wanted to read this proclamation and make a couple of comments. And Ariel Robles, who is the general manager at KETV, is here to accept for her. And so I wanted to read this proclamation. I have a couple of comments after that, and would open the floor to any other council members that might have some comments as well. But the proclamation reads as this: whereas Roseanne Shannon began her career as an intern for KMTV Channel 3 in 1973, and whereas in 1986, Roseanne joined KETV Channel 7 as an assignment editor, and whereas in 1991, she became the assistant news director at Channel 7, and whereas Roseanne became the permanent news director at Channel 7 in 1993, and whereas she was inducted into the Omaha Press Club Hall of Fame in 2012, and whereas in 2016, Roseanne was inducted into the University of Nebraska Omaha School of Journalism Hall of Fame, and whereas also in 2016, Roseanne was inducted into the Nebraska Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and whereas after 45 years, for a 45-year career in journalism, Roseanne Shannon retired February 28, 2018. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Omaha declares March 6, 2018, Roseanne Shannon Day. And witness where, on behalf of the Omaha City Council, I have caused the official seal of the City of Omaha to be affixed on the 6th day of March, 2018. And I would like to present that to the General Manager, who will give it to Roseanne. But there were a couple of things that I wanted to say ahead of time, which is part of the reason why I wanted to put a proclamation together. Roseanne came along, I think we started the same year, which was 1973, which dates us a little bit, but Rose was one of, among the first women in television at in the city of Omaha. And as a result of that, through her work, and I know she doesn't want to be recognized for anything other than the hard work that she has done and the guidance that she has given to numerous reporters and photographers and others at Channel 7 by the very nature of the way she went about doing her job and the way she did business. She is one of those icons that many people in the business, her shoulders we stand on. And so for those reasons, I wanted to do a special proclamation for her and recognizing her for being one of those individuals who were on the front line at the very beginning of television and has made a difference, especially for women and minorities in the television industry. And my thanks will always be to her. She will always be my friend. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank her for the 45 years of service in a business that is highly competitive. And it's like almost being in elected politics. You never please everybody. So just wanted to thank her for that and wanted to give her a special proclamation in so doing. So with that, that ends my comments. If anyone else wants to say anything, they certainly can. If not, Ariel, I will certainly be glad to present you with this proclamation.
On behalf of Roseanne Shannon, she would love to be here right now, and this means a great deal to her. We will definitely be making sure that she watches the newscast tonight so that she sees it, but it means a great deal to her. Service is important to her, that she really does believe in the First Amendment. She believes it's first because it's most important, and she absolutely recognizes the service that all of you have provided as well. So thank you very much. It means a great deal.
Thank you. With that, there's a...
I was going to say, it's very impressive she survived so many years working with Ben, too.
Is there a second? I'll second this. Been moved and seconded to adjourn. There are no lights. Roll call.
Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Palermo. Mr. President.
Yes, I was reasonably
Motion
easy to
passed
work with.
7-0. Meeting adjourned at
I had my
2:18.
moments, but I was reasonably